My good citizens of Lake City, this is a day to celebrate. God bless the free states of North America. Huzzah!
Huzzah!
I have with me two dispatches from Philadelphia. First, the winter of '77. General Washington keeps his station at the Valley Forge. I was there when the Army first began to build huts. They appeared to me like a family of beavers. Everyone busy, some carrying logs, others mud, and the rest fastening them together. The whole was raised in a few days, and is a curious collection of buildings in the rustic order. Unfortunate soldiers were in want of everything. They had neither coats, nor hats, nor shirts, nor shoes. Their feet and their legs froze until they were black, and it was often necessary to amputate them. 1,000 troops have deserted, 3 times that many have died, and 1,000 more are too ill for combat. I ask you now for a moment of silence to reflect on all those who have sacrificed for the defense of our Constitution and liberties and make our celebration of this day possible. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of his country. But he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. 3 cheers for the servicemen and women of America. Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! My second dispatch comes directly from the Continental Congress. It's a Declaration of Independence. One good citizen to hold the banner for me? Yes, you can do that. Come on forward, sir. Just hold it high, keep it off the ground. Hey. In Congress, July 4th, 1776, a declaration by the representatives of the United States of America and General Congress assembled. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. Yeah! Huzzah! Huzzah! They are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and that among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are initiated among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. And whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. Yeah! Now with a crown. And to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that government long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience has shown that mankind are more adapted to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, preferring invariably on the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Down with the crown! Such has been the patient suffering of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain, it's a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all of them having direct object in the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws the most wholesome and necessary for public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation until his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodations of large districts of people unless those people would relinquish their rights of representation. He is in the legislature, a right esteemable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions of the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all forms of danger from without and convulsions from within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing laws of the naturalization of foreigners and refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for the establishment of judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their office and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has created a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out our subsistence. He has kept among us, in times of peace, standing armies instead of our legislature. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and acknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us. For protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states. For cutting off our trade with all parts of the world. For imposing taxes on us without our consent. For depriving us, in many cases, of the benefits of trial by jury. For transporting us beyond the seas to be tried for pretended offenses. For establishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. For taking taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our government. For suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invest with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered the seas, ravaged the coast, burnt the towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun, with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their own country, to become executioner of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us and has endeavored to bring the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. At every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress. In the most humble of terms, our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to rule a free people. Nor have we been wanting in our attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislator to extend unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and our settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of common kindred to disavow these usurpations which would invincibly erupt our connections and correspondence. They, too, have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must, therefore, acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind. Enemies in war, in peace, friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states. Huzzah! 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 They are absolved from all allegiance to the British crown, and all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. Yeah! Free and independent states, they have the full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all the other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Signed by order and behalf of the Congress, John Hancock, President. All right. God bless the free states of North America. To this, every true friend of the colonies can only say, Amen. Amen.